Ask you this: who won the 2024 election?
In the 2024 election, again, the Electoral College voted for President Trump, and then the Congress also certified President Trump as the winner.
Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Senator, that goes back again to under our Constitution, the methodology is set forth in Article 2.
Let's try another question, Ms. Westerkamp. Was the United States Capitol attacked on January 6, 2021?
Senator, again.
I believe you're up.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your service. Ms. Westerkamp, who won the 2020 election?
Senator, under our Constitution, the Electoral College votes for the president, and then that is certified by Congress. And in 2020, President Biden was certified by the electoral.
Yeah, that's not my question. Who won the election?
And again, Senator, under our Constitution, and it's actually.
Oh, you know, I know who was certified, and I know what you think of certification because you tweeted on January 6th in a post saying, in reference to the 2020 election results, a certified lie is still a lie. I'm asking you, who won the 2020 election? Let me make it more specific. Who won the popular vote?
Again, Senator, under our Constitution, what matters is who the Electoral College votes as.
But I'm not asking you for what the Constitution says. I'm asking you for your view factually. And frankly, we've received this kind of canned, ridiculous answer before, as you know, because you were instructed to give this answer, right?
Senator, I am speaking to what the Constitution, under our Constitution again, and that is actually Article 2,
Let me
as well
ask
as.
you this. Who won the 2024 election?
In the 2024 election, again, the Electoral College voted for President Trump, and then the Congress also certified President Trump as the winner.
Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Senator, that goes back again to under our Constitution, the methodology is set forth in Article 2.
Let's try another question, Ms. Westerkamp. Was the United States Capitol attacked on January 6, 2021?
Senator, again, I condemn all of the violence that occurred on January 6th.
Okay, we're not going to get an answer from you. And let me try Ms. Clark. Ms. Clark, who won the 2020 election?
Senator, under our Constitution, the mechanism for electing a president
I am amazed. I am just amazed by the insult to this committee of witness after witness seeking to be a federal judge, subverting our Constitution, and showing how you have no independence, which is essential to a federal judge. Ms. Lane, who won the 2020 election?
Apologies. Again, Senator, the Constitution outlines the process, and as a judicial nominee, I'm here to talk about what the Constitution requires, which is an electoral vote and certification by Congress. And in 2020,
okay. Who won the election?
In 2020, President Biden.
Mr. Rickey, who won the 2020 election?
Senator, as my colleagues have stated, the process we have under the Constitution is a vote by the Electoral College, followed by certification.
Was the Capitol attacked, Mr. Rickey, on January 6th?
There was violence that occurred here on January 6th, Senator.
Was the Capitol attacked?
I would just say, Senator, there was violence that occurred here on that date.
You've seen videos of what happened.
Yes, Senator, I have.
Was the Capitol attacked?
Okay. Again, Senator, I say
Ms. Lane, was the Capitol attacked?
Senator, the characterization of January 6th is subject to ongoing controversy and debate, and as a nominee, it would be inappropriate for me to characterize it.
Ms. Clark, who won the 2024 election?
Senator, under the process set out by the Constitution, the Electoral College elects the president, and it's sort of the president.
Can you pull that mic a little closer, please?
And the Electoral College elects the president.
You know, the answers here, which obviously are canned, they're pre-rehearsed, they're Orwellian in their denial of reality, and they are a subversion of this process. They're an insult to this committee, but they also fundamentally show a complete lack of independence and backbone and impartiality, which are the fundamental requirements of a United States District Court judge or a judge on any panel, Ms. Westerkamp. And I'm a little bit disappointed that you're not more original, that you can't think of a few different words. I'm just amazed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, you just watched that clip from the hearing, and honestly, if you're like me, you probably paused the video for a second and thought, what in the world is going on here? Welcome back to Straight Talk Politics, the channel where we cut through the spin, the talking points, and the political theater to get straight to what actually matters. If you believe in honest debate, constitutional government, and holding leaders accountable, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think about what we just saw. Now let's talk about that exchange, because it was one of those moments in Washington that perfectly shows how politics has turned into a scripted performance. In the hearing you just watched, a senator started asking judicial nominees what should be a very simple question: who won the 2020 election? Now, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, or someone who's just tired of the political circus, most people would expect a straightforward answer. Instead, what we got from several nominees was a long string of legalistic explanations about the Constitution, the Electoral College, and congressional certification. Over and over again, the nominees repeated essentially the same answer. Under the Constitution, the Electoral College votes and Congress certifies the results. Now, technically speaking, that statement is true. That is the constitutional process. But what stood out in this hearing was how carefully some of the nominees tried to avoid simply stating the outcome directly. From a conservative perspective, there are two ways to look at this moment. First, it shows just how political judicial confirmations have become. Nominees are coached by teams of lawyers and advisors to avoid giving any answer that could be used against them later. So instead of speaking plainly, they fall back on these rehearsed responses. And you could actually hear the frustration in the senator's voice as he kept pressing for a direct answer. But here's the deeper issue conservatives talk about all the time: the growing sense that Washington hearings are less about truth and more about political positioning. Judicial nominees today are under enormous pressure. If they answer too bluntly, one side attacks them. If they hedge their answer, the other side attacks them. So what do? They rely on safe, carefully worded statements about constitutional procedures. Now, another moment in that clip that stood out was the question about January 6th. The senator asked whether the U.S. Capitol was attacked on January 6, 2021. Again, some nominees responded cautiously. They said violence occurred. They said they condemned it. But they avoided making broader characterizations. Why would they do that? Well, from a judicial standpoint, nominees are often told to avoid commenting on politically charged events because those issues could potentially come before them in court. Judges are expected to remain impartial, so they try not to publicly take positions on controversial matters. But from the perspective of someone watching at home, it can come across as evasive. It can feel like politicians and officials are speaking a completely different language than the American public. That disconnect is something a lot of people across the country are frustrated with right now. People want clarity. They want honesty. They want leaders who speak plainly instead of hiding behind prepared statements. Now, eventually in the hearing, one of the nominees did give a direct answer acknowledging that Joe Biden won the 2020 election. But by that point, the exchange had already turned into a political spectacle. And that's really the bigger story here. Washington hearings have become less about discovering truth and more about creating viral moments, clips that will circulate online, clips that both parties can use to fire up their supporters. Democrats will say the nominees were dodging reality. Republicans will say the questioning was political theater designed to trap them. And meanwhile, ordinary Americans are sitting at home watching this thinking, why can't our leaders just talk normally? That's why channels like this exist. Because a lot of people are tired of the spin. They're tired of the carefully scripted answers. They're tired of the political games. At the end of the day, what most Americans want is simple: leaders who respect the Constitution, judges who interpret the law fairly, and a government that remembers it works for the people. So I want to hear from you. Did the nominees handle those questions the right way? Were they protecting judicial neutrality, or were they dodging basic facts? And do you think these Senate hearings are still about finding the best judges, or have they become just another stage for political drama? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I read them all. If you want more breakdowns like this, real reactions, real discussion, and straight talk about what's happening in Washington, make sure you subscribe to Straight Talk Politics, like the video, and share it with someone who needs to see it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.